Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Tubb. I just want to talk to you every week now about your brains and about using your brains. If you remember last year, myself and Mr. Hilditch did a learning assemblies, and one of the things we said is that practice and going over things make things stick into your brain. And this year I want to be able to take that one step further and just do a few minutes each week in form time where I actually inform you about what we've talked about in learning assemblies and give you some advice and tips about how you can actually get better. Not only your school stuff, but everything that you want to do well in life, whether that's your rugby or your music or your horse riding or language learning or whatever it is you want to do. Now here's a picture of a calculator. Many people believe that actually that's what your brain is like. You put your data in, your 2 plus 2, and your data comes out 4. However, that's not how your brain works. Your brain cannot sort things out and make relevance of things unless it actually has the knowledge, the pre-learning, if you like, beforehand. For example, if I was to give you this sentence, physical model for the decay of marine organic carbon. Now that sentence actually, whilst you understand every single word that's in there, or you may probably understand most of them, is actually really hard to understand. Your brain doesn't work like a calculator. You can't just put data in and get an answer. Your brain has to look at what you've actually learnt before in your memory, and then it has to sort it out within that actual situation and give you an answer. For example, lots of you have just started this school, and because you have no memory of the school, you're going to find it really, really hard walking around the building, or a new job, or if you went on holiday this year to another country, a different culture. You would have been really tired because you didn't have any background knowledge to it. And so because you haven't got any background knowledge to it, it's really, really hard. Your brain uses your memory to answer questions that are coming at you right there. And if you have no memory of something, you find it really, really difficult to answer it. That's where the thinking comes in. And this year I'm going to give you loads of advice about how you can actually improve that. For example, people are naturally curious. This was our second assembly. People are naturally curious. We're all really curious. Okay, we all want to know how things happen. For example, if you remember, I did a Rubik's Cube in front of you. And a lot of you in this room, in the rooms now around the school, probably have a Rubik's Cube. And most of you, I predict, haven't actually completed the Rubik's Cube. And that's because you would have used it and used it and used it and used it, and then finally you would have put it down because you think that's too difficult to do. You are naturally curious about what it is, you want to understand the new thing, but as soon as the new thing becomes too hard, you put it to one side. However, you can train your brain, especially with the teachers, to do things almost effortlessly. Lots of you have actually brought me a Rubik's Cube when you actually saw me doing the Rubik's Cube and said, "Here, sir, but you can't do this one." And then I do it, and you're like, "How do you do that?" And the key thing is, once you know how to do it, it may seem hard when you were doing it, but once you learn how to do it, it actually becomes really easy, and you can do it very, very quickly. For example, lots of us rely on that with sportsmen or a famous person. Let's say someone like Dynamo. Okay, he particularly has the wow factor, isn't he? You know, he walks on water, he makes things appear, and basically that is what learning is about. We don't know how to do it, and so when someone else does it, you go, "Oh, wow, that's amazing." Now, Dynamo, obviously, his skills are immense. But we do have that wow factor. And we also have this idea, I could never do that. And so because we believe we can never do it, the key thing is that someone like Dynamo, or David Beckham, or Ryan Shawcross, or any one of those particularly famous people who have a great skill, we go, wow, when they do it. Now, let me tell you, I am going to help you this year to make you realise that actually, really, you can do most things. All of us can do most things. Yes, we can. We say I could never do that, but we can actually do them. It's whether we can actually persevere and actually practice and practice to enable us to do them. The third thing we did was our memory is the residue of thought. What we actually know and what we can remember is what we think about lots and lots and lots and lots. If those people amongst us who are getting on a bit might recall that we actually said you do forget things, and you do. If you don't go over things, your brain will realise that they're not important and not even put them to one side will make you forget. The memory is the residue of thought. I did the Rubik's Cube, and eventually it became easy to me. People gave me a round of applause in a few of the assemblies, but ultimately it was really easy. Do I want to get better at anything? Yes. So if you do want to get better, whatever it is that you do, the key thing we said is that you've got to think about it a lot and do it a lot. This is the key to both school and life. The more we think about things and learn, the better we get at stuff. The better we get at stuff, the easier it is. So a lot of the things that we do, we take for granted, like, remember me riding a bike around the stage. Because I spent time actually learning how to ride the bike, it becomes easier and easier. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That's true of most of the things that we do in life.